Hi everybody. So today we're going to make cottage pie, and today what we'll need for our cottage pie is we'll need some mince, or if you're doing vegetarian, some minced, sorry, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, meat-free mince alternative. How about that? And we also need some carrots and parsnips. Now you're going to need about 4 carrots and a small parsnip, or half of a large one. I have twice the ingredients because I'm doing both vegetarian and meat cottage pie. You need some peas, you need about a cupful of peas. You should have a half carton of passata left over from our pasta bolognese that we'll use. You need your gravy granules, your stock cube or little stock pot, and we're going to use some mixed herbs, some thyme and some oregano. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up the vegetables, and you don't have to be too fussy about how you chop these. Not as small as we were doing for the pasta, because you'd like to have a nice bite in your vegetables, I think, in cottage pie. So what's the difference between cottage pie and shepherd's pie, Katie?
Lamb and shepherd's pie?
Yes, shepherd's pie is made with minced lamb, and cottage pie is made with minced beef, but people tend to ignore that, so we call it shepherd's pie when it's minced beef.
I'd like to point out you did not mention at one point the onions.
Oh yes, I'm chopping up some onions. You'll need 1 large onion. My onions are very small, so I'm actually chopping 3 for both the vegetarian and the beef shepherd's pie. And like I said, you don't have to be too fussy. Unless you have someone who doesn't like chunks of onion, then you can cut them small. This is the onion. And then we're just going to chop up the carrots. I like that as well. I like to have a nice, be able to see my vegetables. I like kind of chunky vegetables in the shepherd's pie. And I said that like as if I'm the only one that's going to eat it. I don't really pay attention to what anybody else likes theirs. So we're just going to chop them up. I sharpen my knife, so I have to be careful I don't cut my finger off. So you want about 4 carrots and half a large parsnip, or a small parsnip if you have them. I actually have to apologise at the moment because we are having some technical difficulty in getting the videos uploaded onto the page, because some of the videos are quite large. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cut down really, I suppose, on the size of the videos. So that's why I have my potatoes peeled in advance, which if you were listening at the end of last week, I suggested you peel your potatoes in advance. You can always pause the video as you're going along, because I know I'm kind of frantically chopping vegetables here, and even as we speak we have our technology in the background uploading and downloading videos. We have the mammy computer and the baby computer working hard. So apologies for any delay that there was in getting the videos out there, and hopefully we can shorten the videos and that won't be so much of a problem. So that's our vegetables nearly chopped, Katie, nearly there, nearly there.
Your video chopping like your life depends on it.
I know, when I sharpen my knife today, so I have to be careful I don't cut my hand off. That wouldn't be good, would it? Live on camera, imagine.
It's not live.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. And Katie's been working very hard with Eva, her sister, editing all the videos and adding in funny little cartoons and stuff, and putting in all the things that I forget to tell you. And if you want to, like, you can put, there's other things you can throw a few. If you have mushrooms lying around the fridge that you want to use up, you can throw a few mushrooms in, or a bit of pepper or celery. It's nice in shepherd's pie, or a bit of leek or whatever. So I'm just doing the basic vegetables in it today, and you can add in or take away whatever you like or don't like in it. So that's our vegetables all chopped up and ready. So now I have 2 pans on here. I'm actually going to do the meat one in a low pan so you can see what I'm doing. So 2 pans on, one for the meat shepherd's pie, or cottage pie, sorry, and one for the vegetarian. And on the back here I have my pot of potatoes on. I put them on number 6 on high to boil. Just barely, don't overfill them with water because sometimes potatoes can be very watery anyway, so as little water, so just barely bring the water to the level of the potatoes. And now we're going to turn our pans on quite high, so I'm going to put them both on 5. Now if you're doing the meat-free one, what I've noticed about the meat-free products is they're very dry and they absorb an awful lot of water. So just bear that in mind. I have a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pan. Once I have the vegetarian alternative in, I'm actually going to put a drop of water in it. So I'm doing enough for 2 vegetarians, so about, not quite half a packet, about a third of one of these packets of meat alternative. There you go, Katie, I'm just going to show them there.
Did you deliberately open that upside down just to upset me?
Yeah, because I know you don't like packets open upside down. I didn't, I just do. I don't know how to open packets, Katie.
So you picked it up the right way around, and you were like, no, no, no.
I didn't think you'd notice. I noticed before it was too late. Now what I'm after doing is the carrots and parsnips. I've actually boiled them and simmered them for a couple of minutes just to soften them a bit, just because I'm in a hurry for dinner today. So if you're ever in a hurry, boil off your carrots and parsnips first. It kind of helps quicken the cooking process. So exactly like the bolognese that we made the last day, put your mince on the pan and break it up with your wooden spoon or your spatula. Let that get going there now. And I'm just going to put a tiny drop of boiling water in with the vegetarian alternative, because like I said, it tends to be very, very dry and absorbs water when it's cooking. And you have to keep that in mind when you're adding liquids, that if you're using the meat alternative, you will need more liquid. So now to them I'm going to add our onion. So half in there. And when I'm making this, I always put a little bit of passata in it, or if you don't have any passata, a bit of tomato puree, it just adds a nice kind of richness to it. So we're just going to let that start to sizzle there now. Katie, can you hear that? Or do you have me on mute? Have you got me on mute? Now, and then our herbs. So I have my herbs here. Just get my spoons there, Katie. And I'm going to put in half teaspoon each of thyme, and remember what I said about when you're using dried herbs, when do they go in, Katie?
I don't know.
This is annually easy.
So,
dried at the start of cooking,
yeah,
and then using fresh herbs
at the end.
At the end, and that's how you get the best flavour out of them. Oh, and you're getting mixed herbs. Half teaspoon, it's not actually a half teaspoon, nobody will know. And then half teaspoon of oregano. Just keep an eye to your potatoes, mine are nearly coming to the boil there now. And what else do we need, Katie? What else do we always put in at the start? Leave me clue. What is it?
I mean, you're putting it in now, you kind of gave it away.
Black pepper. And again, like I was saying the last day, I don't put salt in at the start because I'm using stock cube and grated granules, and they tend to be very salty. So I normally don't have any salt at all. You can taste it at the end, and you think it needs a little bit of salt. You know, according to your own taste, you can add salt at the end, but I wouldn't add any salt at this stage. So there we are now, we'll just break it up like we do with the pasta bolognese. Because you don't want big chunks of mince in it. And you want your mince to brown nicely all the way around. Just keep breaking it up as you're going along. And then my potatoes are finished to boil there, so I'm going to turn the potatoes down to 2. I have a fairly big pot of potatoes there because I'm making 2 different pies. Now when that's almost brown there, you can then add in your carrots and parsnips. Like I said, if you're in a hurry, you want to do this quickly, you can actually boil off your carrots and parsnips in advance.
Is that not cross-contamination now that you use the same spatula?
Shh. Vegetarians won't know, Kate, if you don't tell them.
I'm literally here.
Shh, shh, shh. Pretend you didn't see that. See, now you know all the things that I get up to when you're not looking and I'm cooking the dinner.
Makes it sound like I never help. I'm a good daughter, I swear.
You'll be able to cook all these things in Kate when these lessons are over, and you can't say I don't know how to do it, because I'd be saying what you do. You filmed it. There, just keep breaking that. I can see any little chunks there. Some people actually like chunks of meat in there. I don't. Do you know what's great about like cooking the dinner? You get to cook it exactly the way you want it.
So maybe I'll never cook the dinner then, because what if my tastes are different than yours?
I'll take free food. The nicest food is when you don't have to cook it yourself. So I don't mind. That's, you can do that, Katie. Oh, I nearly forgot.
Peas.
Peas. Can't be doing that now. So you can throw them in frozen. Straight away like that. Like I said, if you want to throw anything else in there, we'll throw a few mushrooms, peppers, celery. Just in this house, because there's 5 of us and 2 of us are vegetarians, I don't tend to put kind of, you have to kind of like adapt to suit everybody's taste. Now, so that's all nicely brown there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my passata. And I'm also going to boil the kettle to make some gravy. So you should have a half carton of passata left over from your bolognese. I don't, because I did both vegetarian and meat one last day. So I'm opening a fresh carton here, and I'm going to put half in each. That's about half, isn't it, Katie?
It's too late now if it's not.
Just mix that through there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to boil our kettle and we're going to make gravy. So you should have some gravy granules there, or if you want you can also get, you know, you get the little sachets of shepherd's pie and savoury mince mixes. You can actually use a sachet of that if you prefer. But today we're going to make it with and you see now actually how the corn mince absorbs all the liquid. So we'll fix that now in a second. Show you now we make our gravy. So now I have to read the instructions for the gravy because I have to measure it and I don't know any other things. So here we go. To make a half a pint, I have to put 2 heaped dessert spoons into a measuring jug. Okay. So what I do is when I'm making shepherd's pie, I actually make the gravy thicker than the instructions on the carton. So it says 2 dessert spoons per half pint. I want a pint of gravy. You're going to make a half pint. And if the instructions are 2 heaped tablespoons, I would put it to 3. So you want 3 spoons of gravy granules, 3 dessert spoons of gravy granules for a half pint of water. I'm going to do double that because I have 2 different ones. I'll show you a magic trick. Magic tricks. What is it?
Do you not know any sleight of hand?
So here we go.
Okay.
Just see, because no, need more first. Okay, so I'm going to make this extra thick. So there's a pint there. Right, so I want a half pint. So here.
Did you not say you wanted a pint?
Yeah, but I'm going to show you. This is my magic trick now. So I want 3 heaped dessert spoons. 1, 2, 3. Now we can actually turn those pans down to 2. I nearly forgot to turn the pans down, Kate. So I'm going to make it extra thick for the meat one. That's taking a long time to boil.
It's because you actually didn't press the button, I did.
Oh. Now, to see those potatoes, there's an awful lot of water in them. I'm going to pour some of the water off the potatoes because we don't want to drown them, we just want to cook them. So this, I'm going to show you how to get perfect mashed potatoes, alright? So pour off half. You only want to, you know, as little as water as you possibly need. Pour half the water off there. They'll take about 25 minutes once they come to the boil. I always cook my potatoes kind of to that size because that's about the right size and to cook nicely all the way through. See now nearly all the liquid's gone out of that. That's how quickly that absorbs moisture. So what I'll do is I'm going to make the gravy extra thick for the meat one and then not as thick for this one. So I'm going to add extra water so it'll absorb more of the water. Sing the song, Katie.
I don't want to get, you know, copyright claim. This is going on YouTube. That's my
Sing an
difference.
original.
Well, yeah, let me just pen one really quickly.
And what I do is I use a fork, and then like you use a fork and mix the boiling water, and you'll get all the bits down the bottom of the jug. That's the plan anyway. So I want half pint. She's where was the half pint? Hang on. There it is here. So it's about here. And you'll see now it'll be quite thick. Because the reason why you want it thick is you want your mashed potatoes to sit nicely on top of your meat mixture. It's not going to sit on top of it if the gravy in it is too thin. It's just going to sink down to the bottom of and you just have a mess. I have the oven on as well. Look there, see, it's so prepared, Kate. It's so prepared. I have the oven on, fan assisted oven 175. Now you can actually make this the day before and stick it in the fridge and then take it out and put it in the oven the next day for about half an hour. If you're putting it straight in the oven when it's hot, it only really needs 10 minutes for the potatoes to kind of brown on the top. There, Casey, nearly there. There's so pretty. See, all this measuring now is... We're not used to this measuring stuff, Katie. Hope I measured right now. So that's a half pint now. You'll see now it's actually quite thick. You use a fork and get right down to the gravy. See all the powdery bits? You don't want all powdery bits in your gravy. So what I do is I mix with a fork first. All them. And then I get a whisk. See how thick that is now? So you want it actually fairly thick. And you just add it in there. Now I probably don't even need all that. Look how much making a half pint. You don't even need a half pint. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit more water in it. And I use it for the meat-free one. Like I said, don't make your gravy thick for the meat-free one because it actually absorbs a lot of water. Stir a bit in the end of that. You just don't want powdery bits because they just make lumps. the water. Just don't waste any. It's tacky, look. So you can see that now it's coming on. It's nice and rich now with the passata in it. And then vegetarian in here. Now you can see that's slightly waterier. Is that a word, watery? What? More watery.
Yes.
And now the next thing we're going to add in is, again, if you're using one of these, you can put them straight in. If you're using a stock cube, you can crumble it up with just a small amount of water from the kettle and put it in. So I'm going to put half on each of these. But you can put the full one in if you want. They give it a nice flavour then. That's it, we just leave that cook now. So depending, if you put your vegetables in raw, I would leave that sit, and like you can't overcook it, so the longer you can cook it the better, depending of course when you want your dinner. But I'd leave that cook for at least an hour, just on a slow simmer. And the vegetarian one, I would leave that simmer away for about 20 minutes. The longer you leave, the more flavoursome it is at the end. And so all we're doing really is we're going to leave that sit there now to cook away, and we're just waiting on our potatoes to cook. And then as soon as they're cooked, I'll show you what to do with them. Okay, so now these have been simmering away there for about a half an hour. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually turn them out into a dish. So, an oven-proof dish, our vegetarian one, this one. Meat one. Oh, Jesus. And a larger dish here now. Just how kind of slid out there, Katie. Nearly dropped the pan. That would have been funny. Now, just thinking, maybe should I put the vegetarian one in the bigger one? Because there's no room for the potatoes there. I'll get a dish for that. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. I think I will put that in a bigger dish.
Creating more washing.
Yeah, but I'm not washing up. I don't know who is yet, but I'll find somebody. Yeah. You have to remember which one is vegetarian, okay? And then our potatoes here are just cooked. And you'll see the secret with potatoes is don't put too much water. You don't need to drown them. Okay, and I'm going to turn all the rings off except this front one. And I'm going to strain the potatoes. Just be careful now, you might need to, because this is going to be hot. And then I'm going to put them back on the heat to let them dry out. This is the secret in nice mashed potatoes, you let them dry out. So put them back on the heat for a few minutes. Just get it. Oh Jesus. See if you wipe as you're going along, Kate. Look at that lovely. You wouldn't even think anybody was in here.
What heat do you have the ring on for the potatoes?
So I have the ring on 2. And what you do is you want to dry them out well. Give them a little shake. And when you're making your cottage pie, you can make the top of the potato all nice and crispy and brown by just brushing it with a bit of egg. But I'll show you a little trick now. Makes it easier. So now I'm going to turn that ring off. You can see they're all nice and dry. Black pepper. Get some butter and milk. I'm letting everybody, what's the wrong one? That's dairy gold for bake. That's for the cupcakes the next day.
So margarine.
You use spread, you know, the dairy gold spread or whatever you have.
Was it
Doesn't really
margarine
matter.
that you took out?
It was margarine, it was for baking, yeah. I'm chef, I say it is lots of butter. Just a little bit for luck. And I bet everybody's watching going, Jesus, did you see all the butter she put in the potatoes?
I'll be honest, it's a little bit my reaction.
I just need to find it. You can never find it in this drawer. Everybody has one. This is the, you know, the drawer, the everything drawer. Here we go. That's exactly what I was looking for. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I'm very proud of myself. Because many videos have been made so far and I haven't cursed once. I might have said a few Jesuses, but I didn't actually curse. Isn't that great?
You said Jesus like 5 times today.
But I didn't curse.
It's true. I'm just gonna start like swearing now.
No. My New Year's resolution. No cursing.
No cursing on camera.
On camera.
That's
No
the
cursing
resolution.
on camera, yeah. Yeah, we need a little bit of milk in them because they're quite... I probably should have measured the milk and butter, but I got into my old habit there, Katie, not measuring. A good dollop of butter and a good cup of milk.
If you were to approximate it,
Now here's the magic trick, Katie, right? So
just ignore. If you were to approximate, the,
I would
that's the
say,
third time you're after ignoring me.
I'm sorry, Katie. I would say about, see, I've got loads of potatoes here because I'm going to doing 2 pies. So if you're at home now watching this and you're only doing 1 pie, I would say probably 2 ounces butter and 3/4 cup of milk. How about that? Now here's the magic trick, right? So it's very hard to actually brush egg on top of potatoes when you're doing cottage pie. So I do is I throw the egg into the potatoes. And that'll give it a nice brown and kind of crispy top. So you can put the egg in and that'll colour it nicely, you see. I wouldn't put them in mashed potatoes. This is only for if you're doing a topping of potatoes on a pie. I wouldn't normally throw an egg into your mashed potatoes like that, Katie, so don't worry.
It's extra protein.
That's it. Like earwigs.
No.
Now, and then you don't need to any fancy piping skills to pipe it on top. This is a vegetarian one, isn't it, Katie?
Yeah.
I just get a spoon and I just spoon it like that. See, isn't that lovely, Katie? Look. Now, see, because that's straight off the cooker now, I'm just going to put that in the oven for about 10 minutes just to brown the potato on top. I just want a nice golden brown. I just put the potato on like that, and then I get a fork and I just do that just to make sure it's all nicely covered and even. And okay, so that's the vegetarian one. We'll have to stick something on top of the vegetarian one so we don't get them mixed up.
You could draw a little picture of me with the fork.
I can't draw.
I think you could give it a go.
I'm not going to be swayed by your... I'm going to put a little slice of pepper on top.
Maybe,
Look, it's your smiley face. Look, there you go.
maybe Aoife can edit it in.
And here's an eye.
It looks just like me. It's the image.
There you go.
It's like looking in a mirror.
And then same then for the meat one. Just spoon the potatoes on like that. Whose picture will I put in this one?
think if you put a picture on this one, I'm going to be honest, I think your drawing skills mean that it will be the same person.
I was going to say do a frowny mouth, but then I'm probably lift it out upside down and think, oh look, that's a smiley face. Just spoon the potato across the top like that. I should give the other vegetarians a bit of potato. Don't want them to say I neglected them. And when you're putting it in the oven, I always put a tray underneath, because sometimes some of the gravy will bubble up and spill out the edges, so you don't want to clean the oven, Kate. Jesus, I don't know if I'm having to cook dinner without having to clean the oven after, so I just get a tray and I put them on a nice tray. Put them in the oven for about 10 or 15 minutes, just so the top is kind of golden brown, and you're good to go. If you're cooking this, for dinner tomorrow, sometimes what I do is I cook it and I put it in the fridge. When I take it out, then I'd actually start it off in the microwave for about 10 minutes, and then put it in the middle of the oven for about half an hour, and like that would be perfect. So that's it. That's today's lesson. I'm going to put this in, like I said, 10 or 15 minutes, and it'll be good to, actually no, I'm going to put them on separate trays because it's very heavy. So the next thing we're going to make on our list is raspberry granola bars, and they're actually really easy to make. You don't need to prepare anything in advance. We'll do everything on the day. Then apologies, because we have been having some technical difficulties in getting our videos uploaded, so apologies for that, and see you next time.